One. Welcome everybody to another episode here on XPod. We have today with us the man, the myth, the legend, John from Silicon Valley, the Owners Club. John, thank you so much for being here. Let's get this party started. Who do we have with us? Would you guys like to say hello, and then we'll let John introduce himself?
Yeah, Alex here. Happy to be here. Want to learn all about
I'm Sir Merritt, co-host of XPod, and I'm looking forward to sort of diving into just the whole Tesla Owners Club experience and just learning more in general.
Yeah, it's Jessica here, and I actually just recently joined the Owners Club here in Switzerland. But I haven't really participated yet actively, so I'm really excited to hear all about it.
John here, president and founder of Tesla Owners Silicon Valley. We are obviously based where the current headquarters of Tesla is. So,
all right, let's get this started. John, so what is an Owners Club? Let's just start with that. What is that all about?
Yeah, so an Owners Club is really about kind of where the customer journey kind of goes after you get your first car, or really you can also be an enthusiast. So the Owners program was around, when we also had a lot of Model 3 reservations. So it's not only for current owners, but it's also for future reservation holders as well. So like we have a couple of Cybertruck reservation holders, but really it's about the community where you kind of live locally, and really getting involved. So there's a bunch of things. I don't know if you just want me to go off specifically, but it's not only making an impact kind of on your local community. So it could be like National Drive Electric Week, right? Our club has gotten a lot involved in with a couple other nonprofits to really bring people to kind of come and drive multiple EVs. It's also too, Earth Day. So you could do like beach cleanups and other things like that. So it's not only about kind of the impact, but really it's also just about as you become an owner, what's next. And I think that's what, I personally love about the program. What I love about our club is, we become, that next stop, especially given Tesla's business model today, where it's really, they don't have a marketing department. They don't have this huge, customer support overhead. But, really kind of in a lot of ways, the club gets to kind of be, the kind of the point experts on ownership, and can answer any questions. And again, as owners, we love our cars, right? I mean, we all know how special the Tesla community is. And so when an owner gets to talk about their Tesla, they'll pretty much stop whatever they're doing to tell you about it. So that's really kind of what our club is about, really what the Owners Club is about. The whole Owners program is really just about having, helping obviously Tesla's mission, but also too just becoming a point of contact for new owners, and really, again, hopefully making a positive impact on the community.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great answer, and what an awesome topic and ambition and purpose for having a club. I've recently joined the club here in Norway myself, and for me, it's been very good because I got to meet a lot of the people who have some of the same interests I do. And I think in terms of helping onboard new owners, it could be very beneficial. What's the typical questions you guys get sort of on a daily basis running the club? What are the sort of the most common questions people ask when they enter the owners program?
They always, a couple of things is, where should I get my back?
I think we may have lost John for a second. Oh,
you guys can hear me?
You're good now, mate.
Yeah, we can hear you now, but you cut out for a little while.
Okay, sorry about that. So the typical questions we typically get are, where should I get, my window tint done? Where should I get my wrap done? Or what are the key accessories that I should be, accessorizing my Tesla with? And then also too, you'll get random questions of just basic usage of the car. Like, how should I, what are the seat profiles that I'll use? Or, people will just have questions with hey, where's the emergency, disconnect for my charger, in the back of the Model 3. So it can kind of span anything, which is great because, we can have answers for all of those questions, but really it's probably more of just asking the basic questions of where should I get my car, where's a trusted place that I can get my car worked on, and most importantly, how should I accessorize my
I was wondering if you could maybe fill us in a little bit about like the history of the Tesla Owners Club Silicon Valley. You mentioned earlier that you were the founder and the president. So how did you get to found this club, and how's the whole like organizational structure? Like I know there's presidents, is there a vice president, so on and so forth. So how give us a little bit how it started and what are the inner workings of a club, if you might.
Yeah, of course. So, specifically Silicon Valley, we started back in October of 2018. That's when we officially became a official, partner to Tesla. We were unique in that, we were already kind of doing meetups here and there, but really kind of the claim to fame is like how we started was like via Twitter, right? Like I got my Model 3 back in July of 2018. And I was like, hey, where's everybody at? Obviously, Elon Musk is on Twitter. So that's where I started. And Trevor from Model 3 Owners, that was his handle at the time, or it still his handle, but it's more Tesla Online Owners or Tesla Owners Online. He actually started retweeting some of my stuff so that ultimately we could kind of like get enough members to really join. And again, we were unique in that, we were kind of viral in how we started. So that's really kind of where it took form. And where, again, we're kind of unique. But ultimately, we got our 25 VINs, had a couple meetups, and then obviously we got into the program. And kind of how it's structured. So our club is officially, just because we've gotten to the point now, we're north of like 3,000 members. I think across all our social media platforms, we're like, 180,000 followers across all the social media. And obviously the main one is Twitter. But we're coming to events now where we have minimum 100 cars showing up, 67 cars, whatever. So we just got to a point where there was just too much liability to just do these like random car meetups. And so we had to become a nonprofit to ultimately like get insurance. And so when you become a nonprofit, you have to have a board of essentially a board of directors, board of trustees, whatever. So currently we have like myself as the president founder, and then we have Kelvin, who's our vice president. He's kind of like my right-hand man. And then we have two others, Tesla Raj, some of you may know, a good friend of mine. And then also Tim, oh my God, Tesla. He's got our track car. It's all decked out, Tesla Owner Silicon Valley. So that's how it's made up. Now it used to be 6, but just as kind of the club has grown, people just kind of transitioned. But that's how it is. That kind of makes up the board. And then from there, obviously, then you have like more. We haven't like set up any officers or anything like that, but that's kind of how our club structure is right now and how we kind of started.
And do members vote for the board, or how does that work?
I think every kind of club can be different, but it really, because we haven't gone to the paid tiers yet, which some people can do, and then you could give a voice. But technically, as a board, you can share out to kind of like have more membership involvement or not. We haven't done that quite yet because again, we just got incorporated about a year ago. And for us, it took us about 2 years to really like build this foundation. And then from there, it's kind of like, as you guys saw with like the Tesla takeover and some of this other stuff, we're really now empowered to kind of go do the things that we've kind of always dreamed about doing, if that makes sense. So, it's something that could be possible for the future, but not something.
Okay, and last little question before I give it back to Adam. Sorry for interrupting, but so are the members? Is it a paid membership, or how does that work, or is it different again from club to club?
Yeah, every club is different. So our club right now is just freemium. So when I say we have like north of like 3,000 members, that's it's all free membership. It's just like through our mailer and through people that have signed up. But at some point, some of these clubs, they get to like, just like, for example, if we have a holiday party, if you're going to have 150 people, you typically have to pay just like an upfront fee. So a lot of these clubs, they need to actually charge for membership. Right now, we've gone the paid sponsorship route. And so we have like 8 Plaid sponsors that help fund things, like basic things, event this next weekend. Um, yeah, I just received a call.
You're cutting out. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
as
ahead.
you see,
You're back.
sorry,
You're
I don't
back.
know what that was. But so we've gone the sponsorship route, and so that helps us pay for a lot of the fees that come up, and more of not only the fees, but just like if we're doing like cars and coffee, we can just go buy a bunch of coffee and donuts without asking members to pay for anything.
Oh, that's nice. Adam, you
I
want to
was
take
just
it back?
wondering, because it's very exciting to hear about the club where it is today, but sort of where did it start from? And have you noticed a sort of difference in the club, obviously from being mainly S's and X's and maybe more high end in terms of cars to having a broader population and more accessibility to Tesla through the Model 3 program? Has it changed the way you guys work as a club today compared to what it was in the past?
Well, we started really with the three wave, right? The Model 3 wave. And so our group has always been younger in that it's more of like the young millennials and like techies, if that makes sense. So the Model 3 really inaugurated this huge new wave of owners. It became more affordable in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously 50,000 is still a lot, but originally the people that were owners before were all S and X owners. So you definitely had that wave like of just kind of I guess the old kind of yeah, I guess you could say older crowd, but based on when we started, we had a huge mix. And again, I would say it's definitely a heavier mix of like 3 and Y owners, which would kind of make sense. So as far as like the club morph, it again it has always kind of been already heavy set on the Model 3 owners. And so we really haven't seen like that much transition, but we're seeing more and more of it now with the Y, especially as I'm seeing Ys everywhere, and that's like the perfect family car. So we're just seeing more and more members. But again, the range of ages spans all over the place. But whereas originally a lot of the S and X owners were, I guess you could say, probably like older and more on like the like higher income and all that stuff, right? Because the cars are what, $120,000, $130,000.
And you've had a phenomenal growth in your club, and I think a lot of other clubs have also experienced that, which is awesome. But where do you think sort of the club will be in, let's say, 3 to 5 years time? Let's say that we keep turning out threes and Ys, and there's a compact in a few years. How do you think the club will look like once you get to, I don't know, 5, 10, 15,000 members over the next 5 years? Have you any ideas and thoughts about where you want to take it from here on?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, like right now, our big event of the year, like, and this again kind of happened in the past like 3 months, is going to be this takeover, right? It's going to be we had literally 1,000 people, and because we charged for entry fee, because obviously throwing 1,000-person event is going to cost money. So we had 924 paid adults at this past event. It's going to grow at least next year. We're expecting 2,000 people. So for us, like, again, whatever we've built, irrespective of like the amount of people that join our club and whatnot, like we just want to make sure we can kind of meet all of the people's needs. So, the things like we've put in place for communication, for example, are Slack, Facebook, and then Google Group. Because again, there's some people that are part of the Delete Facebook culture, and so we just want to make sure that we're like that one stop that you come after you purchase, that you can get all the information that you need and talk to other owners, to other like-minded folks. But yeah, it's going to be wild. I mean, when it does go to those type of numbers, I think the biggest thing for me personally is just making sure that I find the right leaders and empower them in whatever way that I can to make sure that it's not all on me, because that's how it kind of was really for the first 2 years. Like every single email that went out, coordinating, like we have over 40 volunteers that are going to help out with deliveries. And this is the first time in a year and a half that we're doing this. And it's a huge privilege. And I never thought it was going to come back. But again, a lot of that used to be on me. So the big thing is just like, how do we scale? And then also to like continue to partner in a way that really helps Tesla, again, push the mission forward. So, one of them has been we do a quarterly new owners orientation. We had over 40 new owners this past time kind of come through, and again, it's just about education, walking them through the major functionalities of the car, have them ask any questions, and again, kind of just exposure, like, hey, this is who the club is, this is what we do. So I think it's just going to be more of like, as we continue to scale this club, it's like the needs are going to be different, but making sure that we have, like, however many people come through, like, we just have something that's scalable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking, you know, as you become bigger and bigger, and onboarding new members is obviously very important. Having an access point to the community and being able to learn and share experiences with each other is obviously a huge advantage. But do you think, you know, at some point it becomes so big that you could be, and I mean this in the positive sense of the word, a political factor? Could it become so big that, you know, it would be relevant to, you know, whether it's to get EV incentives going on a state or local level, over the towns to, you know, lobby towards more EV domination, to be able to add Teslas, etc. Do you think it could be to use a commercialized word, but a platform to be able to accelerate the mission, essentially?
It kind of already is. I mean, that's what, if you just look at the Engage platform, if you literally look at like what it says, it's literally like, that's kind of why they built that. But the owners program, like, yeah, if there's, for example, there was, you know, I think this one tax bill that was going through where they wanted to start charging EVs to start using the carpool and some of these other things on this interchange on like 237. And so there's a lot of ways, like build things like that our club can get involved. You know, if you look at some of these other states, the clubs are very much a part of helping push that mission forward. I know the Wisconsin club, New Mexico club, I mean, they obviously found a roundabout way to do it there, probably pissed off even more people by going on Native American land. But, you know, the clubs are definitely already very much involved in that, especially California's a little bit easier. You know, we still have our things that we got to fight here, but, you know, some of these states, like, I mean, Texas is a perfect example. They literally have Giga Austin going up there, but they can't technically sell, you know, a car in the state, or, you know, have, or, you know, so it's just like, but I know that those clubs are very involved in the politics there to, like, you know, help push the mission forward. So it already is, but yes, I think it really club by club basis. California, again, we're kind of in a better sphere, but there's definitely things we have been involved in. Like one example, you know, one small thing could be, and this could, one small thing is, like, you know, Los Gatos was kind of pushing friction on not expanding the network, and it's like a huge, you know, there's a ton of Teslas that come to the supercharger in downtown Los Gatos, and so, you know, all we have to do is say, hey, call this number, make your voice heard. And I don't think that we necessarily help push it over, but we definitely let our voice be heard. And I know they got at least like 70 calls just to say, hey, we want the Los Gatos Supercharger to expand. I know Santa Monica, you know, I think the Los Angeles Club and other people down there have been involved in that when there was some pushback on that, right? So, you know, the clubs are, I think, without being like part of the Tesla thing, you know, it's just a great way, again, to be like a third party to come in and help push the mission.
Yeah, that's why it's so important, and we're all very grateful what the clubs do. Just one question before I bounce it back to Alex. You know, you've been in a very active club. It's become a very big club. You've done so many things, but what would you sort of point out on your personal level has been sort of the highlight? What's the one thing you think was the most fun to do, just from, you know, your experience? What was the sort of the most coolest thing you guys have done that you enjoyed the most, John?
Yeah, I think I would personally say just probably, so two things. I'll give like one from a club standpoint, and then two, you know, two maybe a personal standpoint. One is like just being a part of the deliveries. You know, it's very few times where you're going to go you literally show up to buy something that's 50, 60, $100,000. And to be able to have our club and even myself be involved in the conversation to talk about that new person. It's like kind of like almost like Christmas Day, right? You're that kid that's like ready to get your car and you're so excited. And so to be able to actually go and talk to an owner Again, that's helping support the mission, and again, being, just to kind of like walk you through. I think that's kind of been, I think, what we've probably enjoyed the most, on top of, again, all other things. And I think probably from a personal standpoint, I enjoyed also too being a part of like the FSD beta. That's like on top of doing all the stuff we've done for the club, then to actually be pushing data into the AI that's feeding Tesla's like neural net or whatever has just been probably a personal.
Yeah, I just want to mention before we continue a little bit, we'll have a Q&A afterwards. So I've seen people like call in. So wait a little bit, and there'll be a whole segment at the end reserved for that. I want you to talk a little bit more about the Takeover event. You're saying it's going to be a yearly event, so every year. Can you tell us a bit about what was the cool stuff at this year's Takeover event, and maybe tease out what you guys have planned maybe for next year's event? Because I know you thought about it. I know you thought about it already.
Well, we already have a date, July 16th, 2022. Madonna N, be there. No. We've already just based on the success that we had this past year, we had, a guy, Christopher Lee, the dude drove out from Florida. We had, forgetting his name, Salty Tesla. That's his handle. He drove up from Kansas City. We had people literally like coming from out of state, and all over the US. And so, what we this past year was like, kind of like, we had no idea what we were embarking on. We had no idea like how big this thing was going to be, what the perception was going to be. We were like, I hope 300 people come. And then again, like before we did that, we laid out like, okay, these are the potential costs, and again, hoping we get like maybe 300 people. And then, so what we really, this all stemmed from the Fireball takeover we did. That's it's probably not anymore. It was the largest one in North America for a while, if not the world for a while. And then, all these like Tejon Ranch and Tejon Pass and Harris Ranch, all those things are like being blown up right now. But, we just did like a quick takeover. We wanted to have like all cars at 56 stalls and do like a takeover. And we had like 120 cars that came to that. And, we had a couple of like people from all over California, and we're like, we should just do like a big California takeover, because they have on the East Coast, they have, I think it's like EVs and T. I know Trevor's a part of that. And, I've always like, that'd be cool to do a West Coast one. And so it was really kind of more, again, to be just a chill vibe, like come hang out with Tesla owners. We did get a bull to see how bullish you were, like a mechanical bull. We had a bunch of bouncy houses and things like that. So, it was fun, and we had a ton of giveaways. But next year, it's definitely going to be more like, we'll probably have like more things like focused on like kind of like almost like not classes, but like come learn about charging, right? And then, like a whole like spiel on that for like 45 minutes, or come learn about how to like detail your car. So just like a lot more specific, because, people were, ready they wanted to learn more. People actually were like wondering like, hey, we would love to have more, like, we would love to be doing test drives here, because some of them were actually ready to like purchase a Tesla. So as funny as it's like, as much as it was a Tesla owners like meetup, people were like actually ready to buy a Tesla. That was like some of the feedback that we got after, we did the survey.
Hey,
pretty much,
it's butts and seats, right? That's what sells.
So it was just one of those things where, so we'll definitely have it more curated that way. And then I think, so it'll definitely be more specific. And I think we definitely want to have a better presence of vendors, more like trinkets. So one of the things we got back in our survey was like, people were ready to accessorize and pretty much just shell out cash for things. And so we had a good presence, but it was like, again, the way this event was, we had no idea how many people would show up. So it was like, we were just trying to pull any vendor we could get. Whereas next year it'll
for first events, there's always hard, because
exactly.
Next one should be and I also know have organized some of these types of events, like the logistics and organizing everything. It's like a madhouse, especially for the first one.
Yeah, and it was really cool. I have to give a huge shout out to just our club board, like Kelvin specifically. Dude's like he literally handles a lot of our marketing. I mean, he does it professionally. And like he was able to like map out everything. He did all the marketing, everything. So it's just like it really mattered. So for us, it was personally, it was just really cool. Like we were standing on stage, and I was like, dude, this is wild. Like there's like literally 1,000 people in front of us, and so it was cool to be the club that helped put it on and
Yeah.
did all the background stuff, right? But yeah.
Yeah, like next up, I think because I follow you on Twitter, so I see a lot of what's going on. I know your club is very much involved in charitable and fundraising events. Like, could you mention a little bit how your role in all of this is and what the club does to help people in need?
Yeah, and I'll just give a little bit of background. So again, because our club has running the handle, we've had a really strong pulse on the Tesla community in general. It's really helped us to really have, again, meeting a lot of people, where we can, again, just see all the different various things happening. And so because of that, two things have kind of happened in the past year. The whole Texas ice over, right? Our club, helped
Yeah,
raise north of, I think it was like $10,000 north of that, just on like, again, and it's also to the amazing community through social media that just like gave into that. But seeing that huge need, seeing literally people without electricity, without food and water, and again seeing owners that we know, again through the Twitter community, just being impacted, like just kind of like sparks something in you where you just want to do what you can to give back. And I think as you what's the term they always say, because let's say the following has kind of grown to what it is now, like comes certain responsibilities. So for us, it's like as a for Tesla under Silicon Valley, we just want to give back to the community in whatever way. And Austin obviously is kind of where Tesla is focused on right now, as far as with the Gigafactory and all that stuff. So it was just like an easy way, and it literally took me 2
yeah,
minutes to put up something, and the next thing you know, you have people from all over the place just donating, and you realize this is just so much bigger than you could have ever dreamed, right? So that was kind of like the first real pulse on it. And then the second one that we just did, Louisiana had Hurricane Ida, and specifically Johanna, like she was impacted by this herself. And again, it just took, I know they had already done some campaigning, but literally we kind of came late into the game of like, hey, we're doing this GoFundMe. But literally we started this GoFundMe, and then literally in 24 hours, we had $5,000. And that money literally went to like one specific event, or multiple things, but one specific event where I think 150 families came out. They were fed, they were given resources, plus like I think a Walmart card. And so it's just like stuff like that again, our club, yeah, exactly. So just being
giving
grateful
back.
for what's been done to
Yeah,
you
that's
and just giving
awesome.
back.
Do you find that other like clubs that's set up around the world, as they're starting to set up, do they reach out to you to sort of get help in setting up?
Yeah, they definitely have. I mean, our club has helped launch at least 4 or 5, and then as far as like like we've sent out 2 in the Bay Area. We helped out with the South Florida one, and then the San Joaquin one. We were heavily involved in that. And then a lot of the other ones that the clubs that have started, like I think Riverside reached out. Some of these other clubs have reached out, like, hey, what works, what doesn't. So yeah, we definitely want to be helpful in whatever way to make each club as successful as possible.
So here in Norway, it seems like the club often cooperates with both the Swedish and Finnish sister organizations. Do you guys do a lot with the other clubs as well?
You mean specifically like in Europe and stuff, or?
No, like local other clubs. I've seen sometimes you have more than one
Yeah,
club banner, etc. Do you get together and hang out and travel and visit each other? And
yeah.
what
So I
kind of
mean,
stuff goes
obviously
on
the
in
easy
Sweden?
ones are.
No, sort of what kind of stuff do you guys do together, or Do you sort of go
Yeah,
visit each other, or what kind of
yeah.
activities do you do together?
So the ones that are close by are obviously the easy ones, right? So like this weekend, we're doing a Tesla photography day where you can bring your car, get it photo shot by a professional photographer. They're actually the ones that help create the dog mode videos. I know the owner of the dog owner um, of the dog that was actually in the video. So like, so come get your like, car professionally shot specifically, but it's also a hangout. So we're gonna have like the Quick Bandit, a guy named Larry who does Tesla Frunk, and then it's like Auto R&D. They're kind of like performance shop. So it's just gonna be like, hey, come hang out, kind of get a behind the scenes look of this specific studio that's been involved in creating Tesla content, but also to just come hang out. We're gonna have Best Coast Burritos there as well to kind of help with the food and stuff. But that's with the East Bay Club. So obviously that's the easy ones. We've done drives with the North Bay Club, which is north of the San Francisco Bridge. Um, we've obviously done things with My Tesla Adventure. So it just kind of depends. But like for example, what's awesome about the program, and really just being about a Tesla owner, but really when you get involved in the program, one of the awesome perks is you're almost inheriting a global family. So I've been to the Netherlands. I went into Belgium. I didn't get to meet them, but I met like the people involved with the Netherlands club. Wasn't able to meet up with the Belgian people, the Belgian club, and then I've been to Japan, met the leaders there. Taiwan, I'm pretty close with Michael. It's partially also I'm half Taiwanese. And then I know Hong Kong just launched, but I went there before, they had an official club. So it's just like one of those really cool things. I've been to Dallas, I met those guys. It's just kind of like, and then I went to Florida, met up Rafael, Testatino. So it's just cool. Like, when you get involved in the community, you just kind of inherit this like global community. And so that's one of the great perks about the Tesla community. So for example, like let's say I was moving to Austin, or a member was moved to Austin. It's almost like you could literally hook them up with the Tesla owners of Austin. And then, whether I'm making this up, like whether they needed a realtor or, potentially suggestions on moving companies. Like I know that that's suggestions that they could give, like, within a snap of fingers. Right. So it's just a huge resource when you're involved in the community. So, that's one of the amazing perks of the program.
But one thing is helping the members out. You guys also help out the company as well, right? Because I recall there's been videos of you guys actually stepping up and helping out during end of quota pushes. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're just supporting. We're helping support new owners that are coming. So yeah, so we're going to be helping out at this end of the quarter. We have over, 40 members going to support deliveries over really the peak day. So it's going to happen Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then next Wednesday and Thursday we have over 40 members within certain time slots that are going to go, and again, just be a resource to these new owners in whatever way, and really, be kind of just a way to just like speak from like a third party of like, hey, this is how you use your car. Because as we all know, like Tesla owners, they want to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. I got to say, as a shareholder, every time I hear that Tesla Club is getting involved to help Tesla in the end of quarter push, like, yeah, I feel proud of being part of this community and seeing that, you guys are like this army of that spread across the world that's there to like push the mission, help the company, onboard new members,
Calling the troops
onboard new
every
owners.
4 times a year.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's like it makes me proud of being part of this community. And yeah, just wondering, like, let's say somebody has has never had any contact with any owners club, and like they're buying their Tesla or they have one on order, and they don't know how to approach. Like, what would be the best way you think for them to like join a club?
Yeah, so Engage platform is one. That's a huge one. Engage.tesla.com. Or if you want to be able to even search globally, go to tesla.com/owners club. You can actually see like a huge map that William from really the owners, he runs the owners program from Tesla's perspective. I believe he created that. And again, you can look at a global map of just like where all the clubs are.
Okay, and basically you would have contact information there, and you just call, or you just like show up to there. Is there like a physical address, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
there's an email and website
Hmm.
that
Okay, so you reach them to there.
yeah, exactly. So, but again, the
Okay,
Engage
that's
platform
cool.
is a cool way too. Is the all the clubs are being.
Okay, Jessica, did you want to jump in?
Yes, please. So, John, when you mentioned that you founded the club in, I think it was October 2018, was this like the first official Tesla owners club back then?
No, not at all. There's been some clubs like I think Ontario, the Los Angeles Club that have been around for a long time. So what was unique about ours is obviously because we're based where the headquarters was. So when I found out about obviously the owners program, I was just shocked that there wasn't, you know, like headquartered here, but there's a a NorCal Reno one that kind of like overlooked this area. But no, there's been clubs that are around for I think 7+ years. Don't quote me on that number, but it just kind of all depended on when they joined.
Okay, yeah, I actually just looked it up, like the owners club director you mentioned, and it's crazy how many clubs there are in California. Like I'm counting 9, while like most European countries only have one, if they even have one. So how do you explain this? I mean, especially like when I take Norway as an example, they only have one club listed, but they have, Adam can probably tell me how many Teslas are registered in Norway.
I'm not sure I have the figure straight up, but I think the Owners Club in Norway has 8 to 9 thousand paying members, and they've been around for a while. So, I mean, Norway is a bit different in the sense that we actually have a PR. I don't know if we have a PR department. We have a PR spokesperson. I know it's quite a controversial topic, at least in the Tesla Twitter community, whether that should be the case, not in the US. But there is argument to say that it's worked in China, and it definitely works in Norway. But the Owners Club here has been quite active, both in terms of being in media, taking questions in the really early days of the EV movement, and it's a relevant player in the landscape. But we are 5 million people, so I'm sure there's a suburb in California that has more people than we are, so it could make sense in terms of population size. There will be more clubs in California than in Norway, but I've recently joined it. I've known about it for years. I've seen some of their winter activity is quite attractive, and I've, as an EV fan, appreciated it when they've been in media to defend why we should be having some of the government incentives that enable a higher adoption rate to EVs. I don't know if we need more clubs in Norway. I think the one we have is pretty good. I've known for them for a while, and I'm a recent member, so I'm actually looking to get more involved in it, John. So I know some of the people there, and I've followed them for years. But how would one
Well,
get
so
involved in the club to participate or to help out even
yeah,
further? I would love to help out on
yeah,
delivery events, for instance. I think that's a very cool thing.
yeah. So if I back up, right? So to answer the California question of like why there's 9, it's partially because we have 30 million people in the state. It's where Tesla is literally headquartered. And then also too, I think, just given what I see on the road, I mean, this has to be one of the most dense populations in the world. Maybe from a city perspective, obviously, Norway from a country perspective, but there's just a ton of Teslas here. So it would make sense that you kind of break it up. Like San Jose, so Santa Clara County, I don't even know how many people are in Santa Clara County, but San Jose, which is in Santa Clara County, has 1 million people in itself. So, we cover that span of really mainly all Santa Clara County. But again, because the headquarters is here, you're just going to have a huge amount, right? So that's like, I think the big thing there is like, why is there 9? Like our club, we were, San Francisco club had launched a little bit after me. And then there was our club, but, there was members coming from North San Francisco, like north of the bridge. And then there was people even coming from like Oakland and kind of Fremont, but really like what we call the East Bay. And so we had some members that were coming to our events from those areas. And so we actually sent out those 2 clubs. So I would say like 4 of the 9 clubs that are out there have really, our hand has played a role in helping launch. But that kind of answers your question of like, why is there 9? It's just because there's 30 million people. And I think the countries are going to be like Europe. There's obviously a lot of countries, so it's gonna vary in how potentially there's a club for a whole country. I know, for example, New York State has one club and then a bunch of chapters. So maybe when California was started, that could have been the case, but ultimately, when I think some of the clubs were started, it was kind of more like regional. And so they had like the Los Angeles, I think San Diego, and then NorCal, Reno. So like if I was starting, I'm making this up, if I started Wisconsin, I could maybe start as a main chapter, or sorry, a main hub, and then, branch off whatever cities are out there, like kind of like New York State. So it all can kind of be run differently, but California is huge because it's where the huge population of 30 million people. And then again, this is where the headquarters is. So there's that. But if you want to get involved, I think that's the big thing is the Engage platform actually shows you all the events that are happening locally. Not only locally, but globally. Sorry, I meant globally. And so, but really like, reach out to, your contact at the Owners Club to see what they have going on. I do know every club is like, their involvement with deliveries looks different. So what's happening in the Silicon Valley is not going to be true of even like, let's say Los Angeles and some of these, because they have different people in charge of those areas, and some of them, are closely aligned. Like they want, the club to be involved, and some of them may not. So it depends really on the relationships. So for us, we tried to deeply embed our relationships in whatever way we can. Like, we dropped off donuts, just dropped off donuts and done various other things to just kind of encourage them, especially when it's like chaos at the end of the quarter, because literally like they're trying to deliver like crazy amount of cars in like just these last couple days. So again, every club is different, but definitely like, every club, I think more so probably this quarter, especially because of the pandemic, are involved in deliveries. So I think it just kind of depends on like what geo you're in.
Yeah, so you mentioned, I think you have like over 3,000 members in your club. So I'm curious, how do you handle this? Like, I assume you have a day job. So how much time do you have to invest, like per week, per month, to be the president of such a club?
So I don't want to say that, don't index on me. I probably spend too much time, but it's like, yeah, so I definitely have a day job. I got 3 kids. Actually, we have one on the way. But it's kind of,
Ooh,
thank you. Yeah. It's just been one of those things
Congrats.
where like I love 2 things. I love technology and community. And so, doing the owners program was kind of like, I guess you could say my outlet, but kind of like that thing that I found that's like, just like my hobby. And so a lot of this has just kind of become my hobby. But thankfully, again, really what it's about as you start an Owners Club is about your leadership. If you don't build a good leadership, then you're going to get drained out. You're going to get exhausted. And, you may not be able to keep going at the same rate. So I'm probably one of those unicorns that's maybe, over indexing on that, but I enjoy it. I enjoy, helping out new members and the community in whatever way. Like, again, throwing up a GoFundMe takes 5 minutes, but then look at the impact that it can have. And so, yeah, I definitely have a day job. Thankfully, I've recently kind of transferred into a company where I can have, a better work-life balance, whereas before it wasn't the case. But the big thing is just like, really taking it in waves and taking it day by day. That's probably the biggest thing. But as far as our club, again, we built an infrastructure in a way that can handle that, right? So we have like, Facebook, for example. People may not like that platform, but like, it's one of those, the reach is pretty mind-boggling sometimes. Like we started our Facebook group, back in March, and we have over 1,100 people on it. Not all of them you would consider members, but just the reach is there. So it's really just about creating something where it kind of fits for everyone. So we may have too many, but I think it works perfectly for us. So we have Slack, we have Google Forum, and then we have Facebook, and they all actually have kind of different like micro cultures. Right? It's kind of funny, but I think that's the biggest thing, right? And then we use Squarespace for our our email list and everything else. And then obviously too, we have recently we've had the reach with Engage, where I think we have like 500 approved members on that. So it's just one of those things where it's just about building something that's scalable. That's the only way that you can do this. Otherwise, if you do a hack job, the next thing you know, you're over indexing on the wrong things.
Yeah, I think like Adam was mentioning, as Tesla is growing and everybody has their own figures for 50% at least year over year growth of deliveries and cars, these clubs are going to get more massive. And I think this is where I think what you're mentioning, the importance of building the club right from the start, will have a huge impact down the road.
And I think every club again is different in how they're going to play. So I'll speak for Silicon Valley. We've always had this thing of like, we're going to build our own relevance. No one's going to help us doing it. We're going to, we're empowered through the owners program in a bunch of various ways. But at the same time, like, we're not going to expect anything. Like, I'm not expecting a pat on the back or all these things. We're going to create our own relevance. And most importantly, create our own way to support the mission and really push things forward. And I think that's been the one thing, like, I always entered into this thing of like, I'm not expecting anything from anybody. It's just kind of literally this whole thing has just become what it is by just being organically what it is, I guess. I don't even know how to say it, but
yeah, out of your
exactly,
passion, your leadership, you're building a community, a fam, as you like to call it.
Yep.
And doing good work, good stuff, both for the community and for the company and for the mission, so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you'll start to see some of this. I mean, it's just every day, right? It's irrespective of the club. It's club in general. I'm just saying, like, you'll always kind of ultimately see people's intentions. And so our intention has always been to be here for the community. And so hopefully people can see that. People are going to say whatever they're going to say. But ultimately, like, we're here to help the community, to help the owners specifically in our area. That's like our focus is on making sure that our owners here have the best experience ever, have any knowledge gaps that they have, that, we help remove those gaps in whatever way we can. But ultimately, like, we're here for the community. And so, that's why I kind of always say one of the purest ways to be involved in the community is through the owners program. That's just, if you're not a Tesla owner or whatever, like, if you are a Tesla owner, it's like one of the great ways to be involved. But yeah, that's just kind of something I mentioned out there, but not always necessarily true, because there's obviously other ways to get involved in the community.
Yeah. So
Alex, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Adam.
No, like I'll confess, I drive motorcycles that are non-electric, and I enjoy that occasionally. But when you, for instance, purchase a Harley, right, they make this huge deal that you become a Harley Owners Group member, and they promote that quite actively in the sale process. And you get all these flyers when you do that you're admitted to buy the specialty apparel, and you can join these events. I'm admittedly picking up a Model Y next week, but nothing I've received so far. There's the instruction videos and there's the context transformation or the delivery, which is great. But does Tesla sort of promote you at the purchasing point or at the delivery point rather? Have there ever been sort of a flyer that follows with the car saying, "Hey, if you want to get engaged, check out Engage for your local club"? Or is that something that hasn't been brought on the table? Because I think coming into the community, I find it so supportive. It represents all the good things that I want with the mission. And I think if we could link people straight up to it immediately, that would be great.
Yeah, so it really kind of, to be honest, especially with how big Tesla has become, it really is kind of more geographically and regionally. and it's about those relationships, because as we all know, it's not like there's a PR or marketing department per se. So it's really kind of like, once you become that official partner, it's really kind of about inserting yourself into that community, so that, like, yeah, when you're talking with a sales advisor or the service center, that they can do that plug for you. But again, the kind of the Engage platform was kind of like that way of like organic, or tesla.com/owners club. But ultimately, really Tesla wants kind of the community to happen organically, right? To kind of just happen. Obviously Tesla doesn't promote the actual clubs, but some showrooms will. So kind of just, again, some showrooms will, some service centers will. So, but really, I think kind of back to Tesla's nature and kind of who they are, right, is they want it to happen organically.
Okay, so we've been going at it for like 53 minutes, and I know, like we said, around an hour, and we haven't had any Q&A time. So if you have questions for John, please feel free to click on the little call-in button on your bottom tray. It's a little telephone, and you can ask your questions. So come on, people. I'm sure you got questions for John. Come on up.
Well, they do that. I'd also like to ask John, sort of, has seen many cool things around the world from different various clubs. Some of them, go driving in the ice lakes in Scandinavia. And what's some of the coolest stuff you've seen done by other clubs, John?
Yeah, I think there's one in the Midwest where they do that huge track day. They've done that where they've, I think, gotten like minimum like 100 cars. A lot of the stuff, actually in Europe, you guys do some pretty big things, like whether it's like just like these takeovers and these drives, obviously through some of the most scenic places in the world. And then I'm trying to think, those are probably, and then some of the, obviously you guys have seen some of the stuff that even the Taiwan club, those guys are on another level, what they do. And so, obviously just kind of, those are some of the things that kind of come.
Cool.
We have Amy as a caller. You're up.
Okay, I'm testing out these headphones. Can you hear me? No? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
I recently had a friend in Germany ask me if they have a club, but it's not a Tesla owners club. It's a Tesla EV and Friends club kind of thing. And he's wanting to help out with the deliveries. Is there anyone he can get in contact with there that you know of, or who would he get in touch with?
I think there's a Germany club now. I could be wrong, but I would say just definitely check that tesla.com/owners club to see if there's anyone there. That would probably be like the first stop. Otherwise, again, obviously that seems like it's a different club or whatever. That organization
Right.
probably needs to go build a relationship with the sales advisors there. It's not going to come down from like Tesla official, hey, work with this club, right?
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. If there are any more questions, please call in now, or we're going to wrap this up real soon. Last chance. And while we're waiting and giving people a chance to call in, I just really want to thank John for taking time today to like share with us his experience and educate our listeners to the Owners Club of Silicon Valley, and also to all the other clubs a little bit, how people can join and get in touch with them and participate in the community.
Yeah, it was good to get in a deep dive for sure. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Awesome work, Mike.
Thank you so much, John, for taking the time.
Yes, and follow him on lots of information. I know you mentioned lots of platforms, Facebook, so on. But yeah, the main one, I think, where I get most of my info, what's happening with the Owners Club, is the Tesla Silicon Valley Club, which is, the handle is at Tesla Owners SV. So give John a follow there, and you'll be kept apprised of everything that's going on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, if anyone else is in like an Owners Club, reach out to your local clubs and just see if they need help for the end of quarter push. I know this is going to be a big end of the quarter for Tesla, and they're certainly probably going to be swamped. So we can certainly use the extra help.
Yeah, I have a very important question, John. From a scale from 1 to 37, how awesome is Tesla, Raj? Let's get this once and for
Sorry, what was the question? I think you.
Well, on a scale from 1 to 37, how awesome is Tesla?
Tesla love. Oh,
Tesla Raj. No,
oh,
Tesla Raj.
like a Tesla love.
Raj, man.
No, 37. Yeah, no, he's. I knew that guy when he had 200 subs. I remember he hit me
I
up,
love
and
the.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, so and then again, he helped me last year when we were doing some of the videos on FSD beta. So he's just been a huge friend of mine personally, and just to the club, and a huge resource. He's put out actually a lot of the videos that have gone out. I would say 3/4 of them have been stuff that he's helped out with. So if there's a 55 score out of 37, I'd give him that.
I want to say, I'm going to shout out to him, and also the video that you guys posted, the very first video of you getting into the FSD car. That's one of my favorite Tesla YouTube videos of all time. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I have to say that was
That's
probably one of my favorite
legendary.
nights of all time on Tesla's Wheel. That was epic.
Yeah, I mean, and that was just raw emotion as far as like you know, so you get FSD, right? And you literally, at least in the Model X, you double tap, right, forward, and you literally kind of don't know what's going to happen, right? You're kind of used to autopilot, but literally being on a street and literally having cars on the side, it's like probably one of the most mind-boggling things. Like I did a 20-mile drive this morning, going to someone's house, and I was like, just thinking, I was like, even at where it's currently at, it's still mind-blowing that literally a car is driving me. And I had, I think, 2 disengagements. One was human error, just because I was holding on the wheel as it was turning, and so it accidentally disengaged. And then one where I just had to correct it. But like, it's just mind-blowing that literally a car can do even what it can, even in its current state today. It's just mind-boggling. But yeah, that was like literally one of those things where you turn on something and you literally don't know what's going to happen, right? And in a lot of ways, like a car that's driving you is scary, but like it's just crazy that you're trusting it, obviously being alert at the same time. But that was like a really cool.
Yeah, that one was for history, like that video with Raj. You both were like schoolgirls, like giggling and like going out of your minds when it started moving by itself. Yeah, I remember that one. All right, everybody. So we're going to wrap it up. Thanks you all for joining us this evening. And the episode will be published, so you can share it and create highlights and give everybody a follow, subscribe to the podcast, and we'll catch you later. Thank you all for being here. You too, John. Thanks a lot.